Hey everybody, Storm Shield meteorologist Jason Myers here. It is the last day of April and it has been a wild end of the month. We have seen severe weather after severe weather day, a couple of those days deadly. It really all started this past Saturday when we were seeing quite a few reports of some wind and some hail. Sunday and Monday, that's when we saw some tornadoes, a few of which were deadly. Yesterday, a few more tornadoes. A lot of them were much, much smaller. Here's a look at the storm reports from yesterday. Quite a few of those, 9 in all, were in North Carolina. A lot of them just weak, causing some minor structural damage. And then another small one in northwest Illinois. All through northern Kentucky and Ohio, look at this, some strong damaging winds, a few hail reports, and then more of those in Michigan. So severe weather really spanned all the way from about central Florida with a few wind reports. Looks like just north of Orlando, all the way up into Michigan. And then the worst of it looks to be North Carolina with those few isolated tornadoes. And unfortunately, they're going to see that once again today. Right now, what we're looking at is some warm, soupy air in the southeast part of the country. This is where you're seeing 70s, 80s, and then a pretty quick drop-off, dropping into the 50s and then eventually the 40s and 30s as you head farther to the north and to the west. A lot of moisture here too. See these shades of green? These are dew points right now that are just a lot of moisture, seeing in the 70s and 80s. That is just really humid air and ripe for thunderstorm development. In fact, a few thunderstorms have already begun to develop in parts of the Gulf of Mexico, spanning all the way up the East Coast as this front really continues to die out. The situation this week has really just been a low pressure system. It started out over the Pacific and then continued to move east across the southern part of the country. Once it got to about Mississippi and Alabama, it took a turn to the north into the Midwest, and really the whole system started to die out. But now we're seeing another system developing over the mid-Atlantic, and as that moves its way east, we're going to see a chance for some severe weather a little later today. Like I said, we have that warm, humid air that it's going to be running into. The SPC has issued a slight risk spanning all the way from southwest Pennsylvania up down to northern Florida. And the bullseye, I think, is going to be, it looks like North Carolina, South Carolina, that area, and the SPC agrees. They have a 10% risk of tornadoes developing in south central Virginia down to South Carolina. Large hail also going to be a threat in relatively the same area, and some strong winds too. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw some severe thunderstorm watches popping up later this afternoon, because that's when it looks like things are going to start firing. For Florida, you may see things a little bit earlier, like late morning, but for the Carolinas, Virginia, you're more than likely going to start to see these thunderstorms developing. Looks like the late afternoon and into the evening. May see a few isolated incidences popping up early afternoon, but more than likely it'll be the late afternoon and into the evening. So keep an eye on your Storm Shield app. Make sure you are getting those watches and warnings for your exact location. And remember, watch, conditions are likely for something to occur. Warning, something is occurring and you need to take cover immediately. And we could see tornadoes today, so be mindful of that. But more than likely, we're going to see some strong winds and some hail, and those can always do just as much damage as some weak tornadoes. So keep an eye to the sky, and I'll keep you posted right here on our Facebook and our Twitter pages. In the meantime, if you don't have it already, go ahead and download the Storm Shield app. Thanks very much, and stay safe today.